the top. Ladies and gentlemen, the executive producer of a little show I like to call BSG, David Icke. Responsible for the destruction of everything we know in the Battlestar Galactica universe, and he gets much later. Playing the role of Guy Baltar, of course, James Gunn. The single most attractive Canadian you will ever meet in your life. And she plays a robot with a glowing spine, and she plays another robot. She plays a lot of robots in the show. You know her, you love her, give it up for number 6, Trisha. I remember when they announced the show, people were like, what, they're going to change the character to a girl? And people were so pissed. And then I watched the show and I was like, thank God, because when we made those scenes of making out with Leah Dahmer really awkward. Yet erotic. At the same time, she plays Kara from Starbucks. Praise, give it up for Keith Sackett. What's the name of the game that they play on the show? Is it Pyramid? Pyramid. Here's the Pyramid player. He married her, now he's a fucking song. Go figure. Uncle Trudeau plays Samuel. It's some other dude who was on one episode, so it's going to be real weird. He didn't even have a line, but he was in the back. He's like, got me on the pound wheel. Like, all right, I guess. This is the aforementioned gay cat I was talking about before. He plays Lee Apollo. It's so often the case when you come to these panels and they introduce like everyone in the world you want to talk to and ask questions. Of course they have to throw to a fucking clip. So let's watch the clip and then we'll get into the chit chat.
Endure, because I have no choice.
That show is so good it will get you pregnant.
new stuff.
There was new stuff, right? You should have told me that. I would have announced that beforehand. That's something that was done, because I fucked off to grab a cigarette. And I was like, maybe there's new stuff. Came back. Just in the nick of time. Folks, thanks for coming out today. I'm going to start with Ron and David, because you guys are the brains behind the show. We have Frack, we have Mother Frack, which is a fantastic way to curse on TV and nobody says anything about it. So I wish I thought of that years ago. But will we ever hear the Capricorn equivalent of cocksucker?
We're working on it.
You only got 10 episodes left, dude. Hurry up.
We're saving it for Capricorn. So we'll explore new and creative ways to curse in Capricorn.
Fantastic. I'm sure a lot of these people have watched all the DVDs and films before, so they know a lot about the history of the show. What I'd like to focus on today, more importantly, is you guys are in the home stretch. You're almost done. Is it bittersweet, or you thank God it's finished?
It's hard. You know, we wrapped production on the final episode of Battlestar about 3 weeks ago, something like that. And it was hard. It was a very emotional time for everybody. It was very difficult to sort of let the show go. But I think there was a general sense from all of us behind the scenes and the cast and just everybody associated with it that this was the time to end the story. That we reached a point in the tale that we were telling where it just felt like it was time to resolve it and time to put a period at the end of the sentence. And you know, there's a great deal of satisfaction with being able to tell the end of your story that I think we all found.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with it was that, you know, when we had the rap party, which is typically when you get to make out with or tell to go screw themselves, the person you've been holding back from all those years, we couldn't because there was still shooting left to go. So it sort of ended with a whimper, not a bang. You know, we still haven't had the this is sort of the goodbye right here. You guys.
In which case, go screw yourself.
Exactly.
So I watched the show religiously, and then at the mid-season, what was it called? It had a weird, awkward, long name. Mid-season final episode ever until the next 10 next year. Or something like that. And all of a sudden they're getting nervous. I knew something had to happen. You were going to either give us the fifth sign on, or you were going to let us go to Earth. And we go to Earth, and then there's a giant fuck you at the end of it. Why so cruel and hostile? I mean, why can't these dudes enjoy a week down? Or like maybe they get to Earth a week before, perhaps, if there were bombs they hit, and they get to hang out with people and shit like that. What I thought, I'm watching the episode, they blast into Earth's outer atmosphere, and I was like, it's just going to be a series of missiles launching from the Earth and taking the fleet out, and then the last 10 was going to be all about the Capricorns and the Cylons battling Earth. Why didn't you do something like that?
We had a lot of arguments about whether to end the first 10 revealing the Baltars of this Cylon or whether to wait until. Wait a minute. Sorry.
Actually, from a writer's perspective, that could have been the very end of Battlestar, too. That was what was floating around the set, because we had finished shooting the first 10 almost exactly in time with when the WJ went out on strike. And so there was a lot of speculation that if the show never came back, if the strike really crippled the industry permanently and they had to cancel the show, that would have been the end. And that was like, oh, that would kind of suck. And then we got to Earth and it was really bad.
Without revealing too much, because I know there's certain places we can't go yet, what do they do for the next 10 episodes? Just sit around like, fuck, why didn't we stay where we were?
There's a fair amount of that. There's a fair amount of recrimination and sort of wondering where they go next, and what do they do with the knowledge that they do discover, you know, as they sort of explore Earth and what it means and what's happening on that planet, and you know what it all means to each of them. And then the story continues, and I think in unexpected ways. And there's just a tremendous amount of upheaval. You know. Things aren't pretty on Battlestar for a while. It's not really, you know, the most happy-go-lucky 10 episodes we've ever done, which is something of a shock, I'm sure. So yeah, things get bad. Things get really rough out there on the Battlestar fleet.
Lee gets really fat this time.
Why'd you look at me when he said that? Let me ask you a question about that. One show, you were kind of heavy. Next show, you were boxing, suddenly you were thin. How do you lose weight that quick? Is there a secret you share with me?
2 fingers down the throat, often at meal times. Jenny Craig tied the deal with you. That's good. And a new diet coming out next season.
How did it feel as you become a politician? It was weird seeing you out of the suit, walking out of your flight suit, walking around in like a suit and tie.
So good.
It's like watching Dallas for a while. I was like, what happened? Why isn't this doing bad?
And the hair got better and better and better, and more orange and more orange and more orange with every episode. As my hair dye faded, and I got to glow when Katie and Drew got hair, and everyone got dressed up in green sweat-proof suits and walked around in their own juice.
It's totally fine because we had sweet revenge. We had sweet revenge.
Don't tell them that. No, it was a breath of fresh air to be a catalogue.
That's all you got from me, really? Moving on to somebody a bit more loquacious. James, when you, yes, he's very sexy. When we talked about the New York Con, like taking the role, and like, I'm playing the dude in the cave, fuck this noise. But from the old show, the guy as Walter on this show, that's a pretty cool and very complex character, but he's also the guy who fucks the most on the show. There's a whole three-way thing last season.
I have to pay a lot of money.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things just in a story that, especially like this, it's, what is it? In an American mindset, the bad guy gets more tail. I said, I've got a sign here saying, please be aware that many members of your audience may be under 18 years of age. Okay, so I think tail is a good way to put it there. Yeah, and funny enough actually, I found making the first stuff a real, what's the word? If you're preaching to people that you're in love with God or you're seeing a new way, can you also be a nymphomaniac on the side? Genuinely, I'm being serious. Is that like, does that make you less spiritual? Absolutely. But it took me like 3 years to work that out. I was like, all the time I was like, I want to do one thing, but I'm also like woman crazy and a nymphomaniac. It's like the way you think, it's like that makes him a bad person or not reliable, or he's only kind of got one thing on his mind. And then I was like, there must be so many people who, they've got goodness in their heart, but they're obsessed with something, one particular thing. Thanks, again. Mum. I was just saying, it's been exciting on that level, and this last few seasons I found a way of, I felt, of Gaius makes peace with himself on that level. He's not, he doesn't mind and he doesn't care by the end. At least on the tail, yes.
I just want everyone to know that these are the kinds of conversations we have when the script says, and then Baltar had sex with her. An hour later when James just has sex with her.
It never occurred to me as the kind of cat that would ever be talked into bed. Especially the last season must have been very painful. It just seemed like one big holy sex orgy the whole thing.
Yeah, I must say, I kind of loved that whole idea, and it was, I like the idea of Gaius being initially kind of set up by these people who he thinks are even more crazy than the people who wanted to kill him. And there's all this great stuff about, you being touted as this god or this spiritual leader when actually you've got no ideas, and you kind of pretty much not despise, but you think very little of the people around you who have supported you and put you up there. That lends to a lot of worry upstairs, and so that's been a lot of fun to play.
Almost led to a name change for the show. It could become Battlestar Galactica.
Watch the space.
Katie, we've never met. This is the first, but it's an honor. You are hands down the single greatest female role model in the history of entertainment. You really play badass in the show. You carry that part insanely well, and a bunch of chicks look up to you, and a bunch of dudes look up and want to look even closer at you. You kind of took over for old Lucy Lawless and Xena as the lesbian icon as well. That's a lot of responsibility. How's it feel?
It's the first time in my life I've been speechless.
That's what happens to every gay icon at one point or another. Who's the better speaker?
One point or another, you just take it. It's nice to I guess be a role model. I think it's a little scary at times, I guess, but I hope that people teach their children to take Starbucks bad and kind of throw it away and take the good, like the drinking a lot and sleeping around and all that stuff. Use protection. Other than that, I mean, I try to be a good person, but I don't know. That's a really weird. I'm just rambling now at this point because I have absolutely no idea how to answer that question. I should have just said thank you and shut the hell up.
Just feel like I'm done. Let's just sit here and look good. It's true though. I mean, growing up, we had Princess Leia, of course, and she did carry a gun at one point, but eventually they put her in slave chains and tied her to a fat dude, which was gave me a lot of hope as a child. But it's great watching the show, and it's just like she never has to be rescued. Even when there is a kind of rescue effort, it's not like man, she can't help herself. Like she can get herself out of trouble.
Right. There's a fine line that I think we've tried to walk with her, where she's very, very efficient and very good at her job. It really doesn't, like you said, need to be rescued at all. But then there's that fine line of turning her into like this weird superhero, where she does bleed. She can die. She's not a guy. She's not. There's that fine line of what's realistic and what's not. Like the boxing scene with Apollo and Starbuck was very interesting because it looked at one point that she was beating him up, but what she didn't realize is she was cheating because she knew that she couldn't beat up a guy, so she had to drop kick him.
Yeah, that and I'm
Yeah. There's moments I think that I had to rescue both these guys a couple times. Yeah, it's alright. They just sit there and look pretty.
Just please stare close to the mic. It doesn't say speak. So we're just going to sit there and look.
We'll go to you next because you're a pretty man as well.
All right. We'll cover your genitals later. That seems to be a Kevin Smith dream.
It is, very much. I built a whole career on that. So you pop into the show for a few episodes, and then you disappear, and then one day they're like, here's a script where you're in the Final Five. You must have just been like, I'm so fucking lucky. Like you just instantly became part of the mythos and stuff.
Yeah, it's a television lottery. It really is. Yeah, I'm just a freeloader out here, honestly. I'm like the Johnny come I show up for 2 or 3 episodes of season 2, they say, how'd you like to come back and die? I was like, yeah, that sounds good. So yeah, actually, Katie Sackhoff, I thank you sincerely for my existence. Yeah, the simple answer to that question is it was like winning the lottery. Being invited back on the show, I was supposed to be around for 2 or 3 episodes. It was a dream job. And, Katie and I worked well together. We got along good with the cast, and they thought it would be a good idea to introduce another dynamic relationship between these two. And I stuck around. At the end of season 3, they give me a script that says you're a sci-fi. Wow. You know? I was like, I guess I'll be around for a while. So that was great. It was great.
Was there ever a moment where you're like, well, can't I be the fucking 5th one? Like, Truco, you're lucky you're one of the 5. Get over there.
Yeah, I know. I'm reflecting back on that day in the writer's room when, Ron and I were doing tequila shots and putting on blindfolds and throwing the rest going, okay. Anders, okay. You were so, it was like Day Anders,
So, I guess the result of a lost bet.
Or bad aim, it sounds like. Now, in terms of the acting talent on this panel, you're all quite wonderful, but there's only one. You all play one role except for that tall drink of water down there. She plays 96 characters on the show. And each one is different than the other, man. What is it like? Like every time they hand you a script, you're like, who am I playing this week?
Yeah, it's a little bit like that now. I remember the first one that was different was Shelley Godfrey. And I remember talking to Ron at the time, going, okay, she's really a little different, and is she supposed to be, carbon copy, or can she be slightly different? And he gave me the answer that I wanted, that she'd be slightly different. And so I thought she was maybe more kind of a sleeper agent, and I wanted to make her really truthfully believe that she was framing him instead of manipulating him, which I don't know what she was, if she was a sleeper agent or not, but...
She was sexy.
But actually a little funny side note, he's hurt me a few times, Phil. And that was one of them, where I'm sitting in the toilet stall, and he's supposed to barge through the door, but as you said, I'm very tall, and the stalls weren't really made for somebody my height, so I'm sitting on the toilet, the knee was the first thing that hit. So, barging through the door, no, but and then really after that it was Gina, and that was the biggest departure, I thought, and it just kind of stemmed from there. And they kept giving me different characters, and for an actor, I think it's just such a thrill to be able to play, and especially having been predominantly number 6 prior to some of these other 6s coming on. Number 6 in her own way can be quite limiting, just because she's not part of, when she's not seen by the rest of the characters in the script, you're hiding, and I know you've probably heard this, we tell the stories of this before, sitting at the conventions, but you're hiding under a table, or you're ducking behind a cameraman, or you're stepping over a wire and popping up, the opportune moment, but it kind of makes you feel like you're not really in, you've missed the look that Starbuck gave Anders, or whatever it may be, and you kind of feel like, okay, I'm in, and now I'm out, I'm in. So I have...
Thinking of the time where I used to pretend you weren't there and sit on you.
Oh, yeah! Yeah, exactly my point. I was really not there, and but I am, and so Katie sat on my lap. And, but yes, it was actually fun for me at the end because I got so used to it, but it was funny working with a different actor every time they kind of had their first scene with me as the Invisible. And I remember Richard Hatch in one scene, he was like, I had to kind of drape myself over him, and he was so, didn't he like keep messing up his lines? He was like, I'm not used to this. I'm not used to this. And because I'm right there, and he's trying to talk like I'm on there and talk to Baltar, and he's like, oh, this is weird. I mean, he's not working. It wasn't that really bad.
Was it kind of like Warren Green never did this to me on the other show?
Basically, yeah.
I'm still stuck back on the visual of you sitting on the toilet for some reason. What episode was that?
That was Shelley Godfrey. That was the six degrees of separation.
Yeah, season 1.
Season 1.
Geek test. I'm going to turn it over to everyone else in a minute, but what I've always wanted to do is just do a kind of lightning round of what you all think are the most badass moments in the show. I will start. I thought the Galactica dropping into the atmosphere. Was perhaps the best moment of television I've seen in my life, just in terms of like a few seconds. Like, what a great idea. Nobody ever thought about doing that before. It was so, and while they were prepping for it, I had no idea where it was going, and so like, it was dope. I came. How about you, Jane? What do you think is the most badass moment on the show?
Well, a very simple moment actually, the end of season 3, that crazy pullback through the universe to reveal that just floating in the foreground. I thought that was not in the script, I don't think, and it just surprised me. And I had goosebumps when I saw it.
Me? Well, you just took the best one. From when I came on the show.
Yeah.
No, my Mexican standoff with Hilo and Saka was pretty cool for me personally. No, really, Kevin, you said probably one of my favorite moments of when that ship dropped into the Capra Guy. I think it's probably one of the greatest pieces of television. I love it. I agree with you.
I have two.
Oh, yes.
One of the coolest things I think is when Galactica fires its cannons, like an old ship. They're really neat. I like it. I think it's neat.
Your second one better be better than your first. Guns.
It's really scary actually because my second one has to do with guns too, but it's okay. Proud caring for a member. Oh my god, today. When Truco mentioned the Mexican standoff thing, when Tomo and I had that scene on when we went down to rescue them, or no, when we first met you on Caprica, and this stunt guy or armor guy hands me 2 machine guns, and he went, "You can have 2 machine guns." I was like, awesome. And Tomo got one gun, and we were firing, and we kept firing. And one of the moments was when the director came over and told Tomo to stop acting like a girl. And then the other, his face was like, it was somewhere between like Blue Steel and like Xanadu. The moment was awesome when they came at lunch and they were like, the armor guy looks at the director and went, "We're completely out of ammo."
I want to look down at that story because I heard the story from Tomo's perspective. The prop didn't hand you 2 guns. As I recall, the story goes that Saka fucking demanded 2 guns. She's like, they give her a Tech 9, or she's like, no, Starbucks would shoot 2 guns. Tomo's like, oh, thanks for the 357.
Jamie always asks me, he's like, "Why are you the only one of the SWAT members in a t-shirt? And everyone else is like in all this full armor, they're all sweating profusely in these helmets and stuff." I'm like, "I don't know, I just did it." I cut off my green pants. So it's the guns, the 2 guns. I was like, just, why not? Choose better one.
Look there too, did the nice
With the 2
crossover
guns
thing.
and the crossover.
That's pretty badass, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, talking about guns being a badass part of the show, I actually, and I'm not giving away anything here, I got to shoot some guns. Finally. I think we James and I started, we were the first scene of the miniseries, which was the spine-blowing sex scene. And we finished the last scene of Main Unit, and this time we were shooting guns. So I think it was like really the first time I shot Kane, never mind. But it was really getting to shoot guns and run, and I'm not giving anything away. But I just kind of had to add in a few extra for good measure at the very end. But I got to shoot like a brand new first girl ever to shoot this gun, apparently. The armory guy was very proud of me. And then I turned around and Katie had the same gun, so. Great, thank you. Well, at least I did get to shoot it yesterday too, so maybe I was the first. But I agree with you. I was the first, yeah.
Mama said that's all the girls.
I will agree that the dropping of the Galactica was probably one of the coolest special effects moments, and it even took me by surprise because I watched a rough cut of it when the tower was just a box with a little green thing on the top, and Galactica was like a cardboard figure dropping down. So when it actually I did see the final cut. It's pretty awesome.
I don't know if it's badass particularly. I always found it feels strange coming out of my badass. Anyway, one of my favourite bits in the show is when Adama and Ty are together. I think it's this season, and it's a very serious conversation about food is running out. Everybody's whatever, people are committing suicide, whatever. And Adama says, "Are the people on this particular ship still eating paper?" And Ty goes, "No." And Adama says, "Why?" And Ty says, "Paper shortage." And then they both laugh. And I hadn't seen that, it was a different part of an episode I wasn't in. It just blew me away. The reality, the tragedy, the humor, the humanity. I thought that was fantastic. And actually as well, on a level of shooting guns, because I shot guns with Trisha at the end, and that was so exciting and so much fun. It just at the very end, the main unit finished around 4:30 in the morning, and 2 nights ago in Los Angeles, I just caught Apocalypse Now. And filming the end of Battlestar was like being in Apocalypse Now. There's like 2.5 units, 3 units on different stages, not with enough walkie-talkies. So some guy runs up to me at about 2:30 in the morning and goes, "Second unit! Second unit!" And disappears into the night. I arrive at the second unit. The second unit aren't there. They've moved on. There's some guy going, "Oh yeah, they moved on. No, I don't know where they are." They can hear sporadic gunfire going on. It was fracking awesome.
I think my favorite moment of the show is probably when President Gaius Baltar puts his head down at the desk, and then it just says 1 year later when he picks it up. That to me was, I love that. I never see anybody try to do something like that on TV and do it, to jump a year ahead of the narrative and do it in the middle of an episode, do it in the middle of a scene. And it wasn't a dream, and we didn't backtrack on it, and we just kept going. And I thought it was a really sort of, really interesting bit of storytelling. I always think about that. I'm very proud of that being the show.
It's hard to pick one because it's such a powerful experience having been involved with this for so many years, and the show has had so much emotional potency and so much political transcendency. It really there's so many things you could look at and try to identify as the best kick-ass moment. But for me, purely from an emotional standpoint, you guys can make fun of me for being soft or whatever, but the most memorable moment for me was watching Starbuck and number 6 pound the ever-loving shit out of each other. It's like that at the end of season 1. It's hard to remember that.
Yeah, we both realized we were kind of made of the same stock, and that we could be good friends.
They wouldn't kiss though, no matter how much I like.
They kept saying to us that if the ratings dropped, they just needed to have that fight again, just add Jell-O.
Thank gosh you guys kept the ratings up.
We got some questions from the Sci-Fi Digital Network that have been collected for you guys, so I'm going to pass them on TV.com. Question for James Callis, a dude named Escafo. When people from the fleet hear the name Guys Baltar, there are usually strong emotions that follow. Up until recently, it was almost 100% negative. How did you, James Callis, feel about the cult following that Baltar found himself among? Did you have a hard time balancing who Baltar was with his followers and who they wanted him to be?
And what would I answer? Yes.
Sweet, moving on. Oh, go ahead, give them their answer.
No, that's kind of it. I think I addressed that question before. He gets involved in something that's he can't fathom, and he's also, I think, immensely bored with a lot of people who don't challenge him, but just they're like, whatever he does, they're like, oh guys, how wonderful, isn't that great? And after a while, it's like being in a prison. It's debilitating. So one of the great releases and things that you'll be seeing is the journey of this guy and his cult and how they work out.
Right on. Katie, this is for you from Lisa Graham. Do you secretly wish that you are the final Cylon? I didn't make these questions up. So I would have said something like, do you secretly wish that you are the final Falcon Cylon? My variation on that theme. Do you wish that you were the final Cylon? Are you the final Cylon? Fuck these dudes, your job's over, tell us. Take over, man.
characters, what was kind of your favorite character moment or sort of the epitome or essence of the journey that the character went on for you?
Boring! Next! I think that's next. I myself would have been like, who's sleeping with who on the show? An acting question is always welcome.
I'll be quick, being punched by Starbuck and then immediately deciding to punch her back.
That was pretty ballsy, man. We're watching that show and being like, I think I'm going to sleep a little better tonight. Knowing that we can now start hitting women back. Thank you, Apollo.
It's just there. It's scared, it's slapping. No, you know, the show is groundbreaking in many areas, and the gender blindness of the show, the fact that everyone showers together, gets changed together, you know, goes and fights together, and they still have sex, and they still maintain some sort of difference between male and female, but you can totally punch it, you know. No, it defined their relationship in one tiny second. So, it was cool. Someone else?
Okay, I'll go. For me, I think it was really kind of the Gina Pegasus stuff. That was the first kind of real departure, and taught me to kind of be able to get my chops going a little bit in a different way, and not be kind of so glamorous at all. And it was just a lot of fun, which sounds really odd to say, but it was a challenge, and I like challenges, so that's a big for me.
I don't really have one moment. I've had too many incredible moments over 5 years. Practically, I mean, I used to joke that if I was invited back to the set on the second day, I took that as like a personal triumph. And yeah, I'm really surprised my character, you know, made it as long as they did. I just had a ball. One of the things that the axis that I've played on mostly is guilt. I don't think anybody's had as much guilt going on in their own head as Guys Baltar has had, but then very few people can have, billions and billions of people being killed on their conscience. That's been a tremendous thing to work with, because you find out a lot of your own humanity, what really touches you, what you're really upset about, what you're really... it's not just guilt, actually, I realise, it's shame, real shame. And if you have that, or that's pushing through you, I found it to be almost like a kind of lubricant or fluid inside Guys Baltar. It's like the thing that kind of makes this guy go, and getting rid of it, finding redemption, has been like an exorcism. It's been incredible.
Way to bring the room down. There must be some mighty fast planes coming out of Vancouver, because here to defend whether or not he was giving a blue steel / Xanadu look.
I see you guys again. I swear to God I was here recently. Did you?
Yeah, you were described as very bitch-like in nature.
Was this right? This one?
Very bitch-like in nature.
Yeah, I told them about the scene. Tom and I tend to have a lot of crazy fun on set, but I told them about when the director told you to stop looking like a girl. You're quite a guy.
He said that I shot the gun like a girl. I look like a girl.
Wait, did he not tell you that?
He didn't even share this with me.
I've never told you this.
No, you never told me this.
He didn't say this to your face.
So maybe we should move on to something else.
I could have sworn that the day when I had the two guns, when we were there rescuing him, that he was like, Tom will stop fighting the gun like a girl.
I think I remember actually smiling. I was having so much fun. Katie and I were shooting on so many rounds that Ron Lecker came over. He's like, dude, you're being shot at. and you're shooting at potentially like silence people trying to kill you, will you stop smiling? Because I had a huge big ass grin on my face the whole time, like it's not here.
I think it was more like this, though.
So, Truco, you defended me?
Half-heartedly.
Wait, though. Do you know that what's Truco's first name?
What is Truco's first name? I think it's Ted.
It's Steve.
That's right. It's such a pleasure to meet you. I've never met you.
Thank you very
I don't even have one. I'm not supposed to be here to crash this.
I am a very big fan of the gay way in which you shoot a gun.
That's awesome, man.
You need to go back and watch it, I swear to God.
This is just not true.
We're going to open it up to you guys back again. I'm sorry. Sarah in the red hat.
This question is for Mr. Moore, possibly Mr. Ike. We have to wait so many yarns for the show to come back. Give us a clue who was the final sign-on. Just a clue.
What's a yarn? Sorry.
Don't go there. We have to lock all the doors and keep all of you here. I can tell you it's someone you've seen. It won't be a guest star. It will be somebody that that has graced your television screen on our program before.
And we didn't have to make cast boxing because, the first episode.
No clues from the final sign.
For the actors, I was wondering, without giving too much away, how much closure you feel your characters and your characters' arc had at the end, like at the end of the show.
My character's had full closure, but he could have had a few more affairs.
I finally found out a few snippets of information about my characters, so for me, I've had closure.
Karen found peace, that's what I wanted. Thank you for that.
I can't say shit about that character. You just have to stay tuned and watch. But it's cool.
The ending is an ending, and it's. I think I can speak for all the cast, and tell Ron and tell you guys that it's utterly sublime, and it is a perfect way to finish this show. And it's very much. It took me by surprise. I remember the read-through, the final read-through. It was a disgraceful orgy of self-indulgent tears and lower lip wiggling as we got to the end. And the only thing to say is that it does everyone and everything justice, and you should watch it.
I die a horrible death, so that's fortunate. Yeah. No, well, maybe no, honestly, the last two episodes are perfect. It's one of the first times I've ever heard because everyone feels so passionately about the show. And the entire cast, when we read them, everyone was on the same page. It was like, it's perfect, it's beautiful. There's a lot of closure to a lot of the storylines. There's still some questions left, which I think is the way it should end. It's good. It's brilliant. It's beautiful. You guys will be blown away.
We have time for about 2 more questions.
guys starve your characters, destroy half the ship, and you run out of fuel. Now, where do you find the alcohol for everyone else?
That's where all the food goes. We're just distilling stuff. We're just like breaking the food, all good, like natural produce, and we're making liquor out of it. And that's why we're all. If you drink for drink, I think through the show, for any one episode, you'd be dead at the end of the episode.
Scenes where you've actually like shot 15. You're like, really? Really? You would be on the floor vomiting. Crying like a baby, begging for your mother.
Well, don't you remember in season 1, in the episode called Water, Ty is like marking the number of drinks he's got left in his bottle, and he's like counting them down, and you know he's hoarding them and saving them. And after a while, it became so much fun watching Ty get shit-faced. We're like, forget it, just that's what we're going to do.
Because he wanted to hear him go.
Everyone's got an imitation of Michael Hogan's laugh, or Ty's laugh, I should say.
My question is for Mr. Ralph Demon, whom I'm watching since the Space Time. What inspired you and gave you new ideas while updating the original Battlestar Galactica material to this incredible dramatic series we have all followed?
Trying to make it good. I mean, it was a matter of looking at the old show and deciding, okay, I'm going to keep what works, and lose everything that doesn't work, and keep the structure and the idea of what Battlestar Galactica was. I thought the original show had a great premise, a really dark idea that they couldn't really do justice to in its day. I said, well, we'll take that premise seriously and we'll really play it out. And let's just be truthful in terms of how people are. Let's make the characters interesting and intriguing, and let's just be bold. Let's just be fearless in how we're going to tell a story, and let's just keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and just never be afraid to make a mistake and do things that surprise the audience. And those are really just sort of the guiding lights for the series, was just to try to do, and you have a great cast, you have a great crew, you have a great production team, and you just commit yourselves to try to make great material every single week, and you know, you raise the bar on yourself every week, and you say, we're going to make this episode better than last week's episode. That was just how we did it, you know, year in, year out, right to the very end.
They also want me, there's a clip. I'm going to that. Oh, you're going there. Step back, Mr. Creer. I want to thank everybody being here today. You guys do fantastic work. Thank you for giving me some shit to do on a Friday night and a Sunday night for a few years. I don't know what I'll do with my weekends. But you all did great. And thank you for not putting lasers in the show. It's a hard show to imitate if you're a kid, because you can't go like, pew, pew, pew. You gotta go like, which I still do to this day. Thanks for being here, but now I hand it over to you to do what you wanted to do. But once this clip's over, they're all gonna go. So say goodbyes to your right now.